I've always been a big fan of Vanguard Investor, Vanguard's personal investing service for UK investors. I use it myself. Why? Because Vanguard's LifeStrategy funds give me exposure to thousands of stocks and bonds around the world easily, cheaply, and efficiently. But Vanguard has announced that it's introducing a £4 monthly minimum account fee for clients with total invested balances under £32,000. It'll come into effect on the 31st of January 2025. Vanguard said in a statement the introduction of the minimum fee is necessary to help Vanguard cover the rising cost of serving our clients. Now, this might seem like a minor change, but for some investors, it is significant. I've been talking to Ryan King. He's the founder of the online financial education platform Making Money Simple. He's also the author of Stop Waiting, Start Investing, a new book from Harriman House. For new investors, Ryan says, Vanguard's new monthly fee makes a big difference. Ryan, before I ask you about these fee changes specifically, we ought to remind viewers that fees are really, really important, aren't they? Explain that.
Yeah, fees are very important when it comes to investing. And the whole idea really is the lower you can pay in fees, the more of your own money you have then compounding over the long term. And what people don't really appreciate with fees, even really, really small fees, 0.5%, 1%, they seem like small numbers, but when you compound them over decades and decades, it can eat into tens and tens of thousands of pounds of your own money.
You're a content creator, really, I suppose, targeting young investors, small investors specifically. What kind of interest have you had in this issue since Vanguard made this announcement?
Yeah, I've had a lot of messages, a lot of DMs, a lot of comments about it because I've been a massive Vanguard fan and man myself really since I properly started investing back in 2018. I myself only started with £100 per month, and then over time I built up my portfolio. But a lot of people now just starting out with this fee change, Vanguard UK probably aren't really a financially viable option anymore just because the platform fees are now going to be such a high percentage of the amount you're investing per month as a new investor.
So let's just clarify, Ryan. You're not talking necessarily about people who are already invested with Vanguard, or we might go on to talk about that later, but new investors, people investing for the first time. And after all, that's what your new book is all about. You would say that actually for new investors, Vanguard is no longer a good option.
Unfortunately not. And even for people that are currently investing and only have a few hundred or few £1,000s on the platform, it just means the platform fee that you're now going to pay through Vanguard is just going to be very expensive. So to backtrack for one sec, the fee since I've been using them anyway, since 2018 has been 0.15%. So I pulled together some numbers, and just as an example, if you had £1,000 invested on the platform, that would mean on the old 0.15% platform fee per year, you pay £1.50, and that is 0.15% of £1,000. On the new fee system, which that introducing from the 31st of January 2025, it's now £4 per month. So you would now be paying £48 per year, which I appreciate isn't a massive absolute amount, but that's a £46.50 difference compared to what you are currently paying now. So it negatively impacts those just starting out or those ones with smaller portfolios the most, unfortunately.
Brian, you've always encouraged people investing for the first time, and including in your new book, to use Vanguard. You're now saying that is not a good option. What are the alternatives?
Yeah, so I still really like Vanguard and are a great platform. It's just investing fees are one of the few things that are in our control. And then when I started with £100 per month. If you're just starting out with £100 per month and you're paying £4 a month in fees, a 4% fee just doesn't really make financial sense, unfortunately. So unless you're starting with a massive lump sum, which many people don't, they're not fortunate enough to, then it just doesn't really seem as financially viable anymore. You could, of course, always switch to them further down the line once you build up your portfolio, because once you get to £32,000 plus, then this fee change doesn't impact you. And that's worth pointing out. You go back to the old system of 0.15% platform fee per year. But other options that I've suggested people to look into, as I've got hundreds of messages recently, are Trading 212 and Invest Engine. So that are two platforms I would say to look into first.
And what about investment options? Because clearly, fees are very, very important, but you're also a big advocate, as I am, Ryan, of index funds. So what are the options there?
Yeah, so low cost index funds and ETFs are what I only invest into when it comes to the stock market, particularly global index funds and ETFs. So with those two platforms, both of them offer ETFs. So on both of your Trading 212 and Invest Engine, you can get low cost US ETFs and low cost global ETFs. Not always the exact same index funds as Vanguard that they offer, but there are some overlaps on some of the ETFs that Vanguard offer that are also available on Trading 212 and Invest Engine.
What about people who are already investing in Vanguard? What would you say to them, depending on how much money, of course, they have invested?
Yeah, it's a tough one and it's really going to depend. I sort of pulled together a bit of an Excel spreadsheet where I crunched the numbers to see who would be most impacted. If you are at £20,000 invested on Vanguard, and it's worth saying that this fee change impacts all the money you have across your stocks and shares ISA, your SIP, and your general investment account. So add up all the pounds you have invested across those three types of accounts. Junior ISAs, fortunately, aren't impacted. But across those three types of accounts, if you have £20,000 or more, you're not that massively impacted by the fee increase. At £4 per month, you're paying £48, whereas on the old system at 0.15% per year, you'd be paying £30. So you're paying £18 extra per year, but the extra marginal fee isn't massively different. However, I would say personally, if you have £10,000 or less on the platform, that is when you're going to be more disproportionately negatively impacted. And it's like a sliding scale where the closer you get to zero, the more and more negatively impacted you are, just because that £4 per month fee will be a massive percentage of what you're actually investing per month and your actual total investment portfolio. Then in between 10 and £20,000, it's sort of a bit of a grey area because you definitely could switch and get a much lower fee on those previously mentioned platforms, which have a 0% platform fee. But then at the same point of time, if you could sort of build your portfolio up quicker, maybe get a bit more money invested into the market, then you're going to sort of bring that extra marginal fee down the closer you get to £32,000 invested. So that's probably the difficult bit. And I'd say if you like Vanguard and you can build your portfolio quickly, if you're going to be sticking with them for decades, then you could sort of cop the higher fee for a year or two, so to speak. And then once you get to more than 32K invested, you'll go back to the 0.15% platform fee per year.
So you're saying, Ryan, generally speaking, over £20,000, it probably pays to stay with Vanguard.
I'd say so.
Um, what about if you're, say, at around 28, £30,000 invested in total in Vanguard in your, some people have more than one product with Vanguard. Would you say there is an argument for trying to top up so you go over the 32,000? Of course, it's not easy for young people, especially, to get hold of a couple of grand here or there, but you would presumably say that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, if you do get to sort of 25,000 plus, the extra margin of fee you'll pay won't be that much anyway. So you won't be that negatively impacted. But if you can top yourself up between now and the 31st of January 2025 to £32,000, then you won't be impacted at all by this new fee structure that is impacting people who have less than £32,000 invested across those three accounts I mentioned. And I actually heard from a few people from some of the messages I've got, where it's sort of motivating them to try and invest a few more £1,000 over the next month or so. Because, like as I said, the sort of sliding scale, the closer to £0, the more negatively impacted you are. And then the closer you get to £32,000, the less of a marginal fee increase there is. So if you are in that fortunate position where you got 20, 25K plus invested, every extra pound you can get invested will bring your extra fee down. So that's a good way to look at it, I'd say, and a good goal to aim for, a good New Year's resolution to try and get more invested on the platform.
Absolutely. In fairness to Vanguard, Ryan, they have actually reduced the fees on one of their other products, haven't they? And that is quite significant.
Yeah, so they also offer a managed ISA. So I personally always use Vanguard's DIY or self-managed stocks and shares ISA, but they have now for quite a while offered a managed ISA, and the fee on that was 0.3%. And as of, I'm not sure, actually, I think it's as of 31st of January again, they're bringing that down to 0.2%, which is actually a massive fee saving. And it makes the fee of the managed ISA actually quite lower now than some of their global index funds and target date retirement funds that Vanguard currently offer. I haven't used a managed ISA myself, but I think it's a sort of situation where you answer a few risk-based questions, and then it then sort of assigns you a portfolio that you invest into, and then Vanguard are then on call with you with any questions that you need help with.
Ryan, you've explained that very well. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
No problem. Cheers, Robin.
That was Ryan King from Making Money Simple. In a nutshell, he's saying if you already have £20,000 invested, it's probably worth staying with Vanguard Investor. For those with £10,000 or less, it probably isn't. For new investors, Ryan says, Invest Engine and Trading 212 are good alternatives. Please note that as with all of our content, this video is intended for informational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. Thank you for watching.